besties, welcome to the channel if you're new or if you're not. I'm Alyssia and I'm stoked you're here either way. October means pumpkin season! To be honest, pumpkin season is year-round for me, but now is about the time when it becomes socially appropriate for me to be stoked about all things pumpkin. Pumpkin season goes hand in hand with baking season, and we are doing both today with an ultimate fall favorite, pumpkin bread, and we're doing it 3 ways. Starting with our regular base pumpkin bread recipe. It starts with beating together oil. I use avocado oil along with white and brown sugar. Feel free to use sweetener of choice or coconut sugar if preferred for all of these recipes, along with eggs, milk of choice, vanilla extract, and of course, don't forget the canned pumpkin, not the pumpkin pie mix. I know all of you know this, but every recipe still specifies not to use the pie mix, so I thought I should too. I think we should just get rid of the pie mix already because honestly, does anyone even use it? Separately, we get the dry ingredients combined. Whisk together flour, baking powder, baking soda, pumpkin pie spice, or you can make your own, cinnamon, and salt. Then we could incorporate the dry into the wet, and once that's mixed, you would add in your mix-ins. So nuts, chocolate chips, whatever you want go in now if you want to use them. I am keeping it plain today, and then it's ready to go into the loaf pan. I prefer a smaller loaf pan, so I used 8x4 here, so I end up with a taller bread, but a typical 9x5 pan is also fine. I also think it's fun to sprinkle coarse sparkling sugar on top for prettiness. You know? That goes into the oven and it's gonna take about an hour, as a good bread should, but check it with a toothpick to make sure it's done in the middle of the loaf. Get ready for your house to smell amazing. Make sure you cool it before cutting the bread. Cool it completely. Oh my gosh, it is moist, it's pumpkin-y, and the way that I prefer pumpkin bread is nice and sweet. This isn't one I would eat for breakfast, but rather a treat with like tea in the afternoon. I love the little sugar crystals on top. This totally gets me stoked for the holidays. Let's quickly talk flour. For all of these recipes today, all-purpose or wheat flour, which is what I used, will work just fine. Oat flour works, but it won't set as firmly. But if you really want gluten-free, you can totally use a gluten-free 1-for-1 alternative. My favorite is Cup for Cup, not sponsored. I use this year-round for baked goods, and it's probably the best 1-for-1 gluten-free flour I have tried. During quarantine, Christian made about 87 loaves of banana bread using this flour almost every single time. Do I go gluten-free? Sometimes. As I've been sharing this year, I've lightened up a lot on health. Not that I've stopped caring, but relaxed. I'm not as stressed about health. And it turns out that I actually make healthier choices without all that stress. The main difference now is I don't have to have rules. I did a video about food fears and rules, which I'll link below, but they are especially important to consider as the holidays approach. Sometimes I may make a gluten-free loaf, but sometimes I won't. Sometimes I use real sugar and sometimes I'll lighten up with the sweetener. It depends, and I have to tune into the present moment and my life situation and my body at the time to know. And you can choose what's right for you too. Okay, the next loaf is a pumpkin banana nut bread. This one starts with ripe banana mashed along with pumpkin puree, not the pie mix, oil, both white and brown sugar, eggs, milk, and vanilla extract. Beat those together until incorporated. The dry is the same as before, but this time, when we get the dry and the wet integrated, I am adding in chopped nuts. Walnuts or pecans are my favorite. And once it's all in the loaf pan on top, I just love the look of little pepitas or pumpkin seeds. It's so pretty. Let it bake, and don't forget to let it cool completely before you cut it. If you are nervous about a bread like this cooking through, I recommend baking it for a little more time rather than less, especially if you're using gluten-free flour. If it's underdone, it may not hold. With all-purpose flour, a toothpick really won't lie, but with gluten-free, it can be hard to tell. You can totally overcook a quick bread, but it's going to take a lot longer to get dry with the gluten-free flour. So err on the side of caution and leave it an extra minute if you're worried and using gluten-free flour. At least that's my approach. Wow, this has a perfect balance of pumpkin and banana. I love the crunchy nuts inside and the seeds on top. The texture contrast only adds to the soft bite of the bread. This one could make a great breakfast, but I still lean to the sweet side of my bread, so feel free to add less sugar if you want a less sweet bread. Okay, the last bread of the day is a pumpkin cream cheese bread. First, I start with softened cream cheese and then add in granulated sugar, sour cream or Greek yogurt, and an egg for the creamy filling. Then I get the bread batter going, beating again the oil, sugars, egg, milk, pumpkin puree, not pie mix, and vanilla extract. The flour, baking powder, and soda, pumpkin pie spice, cinnamon, and salt also get whisked and then combined into the wet ingredients. Okay, this is the fun part and sort of the scary part, but don't be afraid, it's gonna be great. You add about 2/3 of the batter to a prepared pan, smooth that out. For sure, you're gonna wanna use more than half, but make sure you reserve some for the top because we've got the middle layer as the cream cheese filling. Oh my gosh, it is too good. Smooth that out too. The more level you can get it, the better. And then finish it with the remaining pumpkin bread batter. Don't worry about it covering the top perfectly because at this point it's gonna mix up a little bit no matter what. Just try not to disturb the cream cheese layer as best you can. Into the oven it goes, and yes, cool completely, I'm sorry. I usually like to dust this one with powdered sugar first, but I totally forgot to when filming this, I'm sorry. But oh man, either way, the big reveal inside is so worth it. Look how beautiful that is. And the taste is even better. It is like pumpkin cheesecake in bread form. The cream cheese filling has just enough sweetness, but not too much, and it pairs perfectly with the sweeter bread. This was definitely my favorite of the three. Heads up, you can also freeze all of these recipes today, if needed. Once completely cool, wrap the pumpkin bread, either the loaf or the slices, tightly in plastic wrap or foil, and then place it in a freezer bag. Get it as airtight as possible. So plastic is really better, I'm sorry, Earth. It will freeze for up to 3 months and it defrosts in the fridge overnight. I think that is a pretty great start to this season and I can't wait to share more. Remember to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any future episodes as the holidays begin. I am going to be sharing some more tips about how I will be navigating my relationship with food this holiday season too. Let me know which pumpkin bread recipe you are going to try and tag me on social if you do. I will see you next week with a brand new episode, and remember, it's all a matter of mind over munch.